Welcome everyone to Throwback Gaming's Our Life Beginnings to Always Let's Play Part 13. In time for us to go on to Step 2. Let's see what happens when summer ends. Are you sure? Yes. I'll never get tired of that view. I know, isn't that beautiful? You stood beside your moms, Lizzie and Cove, as the five of you watched the sun dip into the ocean somewhere far, far away. You like to imagine it cooling off the water, resting itself before getting ready to shine brightly again tomorrow. That was a fun day. I didn't know how magicians on the shopping... I didn't know we had magicians on the shopping street now. Neither did I. Oh no, we're so dull. Let's get out more. He didn't do real magic, Mom. How did you figure that one out? 'Cause I know. That's not what real magic looks like anyways. Oh, Lizzie dear, there's all kinds of magic in the world. Lizzie gave Mommy a suspicious look, but didn't dispute the claim. He looked over at Cove, who hadn't said a word since she started home. He didn't look upset though, just content. You're aware he still hadn't quite warmed up to your parents. Well, we can't sit out here all night. Time to hurry home and get cooking. Who's helping with dinner? Lizzie immediately let out a groan. Mom, summer's almost over. The protest was obvious. You could practically see school on the horizon. You certainly didn't want to spend your last bits of freedom cooking dinner. You could do that any other day. Please, can we play just a little bit longer? We have to keep playing before it's too late. It is almost over. You put on your best puppy dog eyes. Or Lizzie may not want to, but you plan on going home. Let's do this one, because it's like, school starts probably like the next day or really close, and you're like, come on. Mom looked down at you with a sigh, and you clasped your hands together to give your plea some extra appeal. We'll help with dinner tomorrow. You immediately nodded in agreement with your very clever offer, shifting closer to Lizzie since your parents couldn't possibly resist the power of you two combined. Soon we'll have homework and reading to do. We can't work now, too. Lizzie made her case and then stomped her foot in the ground. You mimicked her, feeling that would add something to the argument. Well... Oh, come on, Pam. I can help you with dinner. Mommy leaned in for a hug, and you knew you were very close to victory. Alright. But as soon as dinner's ready, you lot are coming inside, understand? Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom. Cove, dear, you're welcome to join us as well. You grinned at Cove and nudged his arm with your elbow. Cove gave a non-committal shrug to your mommy, which you took as an agreement. So much to do, so little time. Maybe I could still get that seashell bracelet at Times and Trinkets. Oh, or maybe maybe the playground, where the fireflies would probably be coming out, right? Hey, that's cool. They're kind of referencing all the different episodes we did. You know, going down to the boardwalk where all the shops are at, or going to the playground, or catching fireflies. That's cute. Don't I get a say in this? You silently made your own plans. We can't go too far or I'm going home. We'll go with this one. Lizzie looked at you, narrowing her eyes like she was very seriously contemplating the answer to that question. A strong gust of wind made you shiver. Lizzie huffed as she wrapped her arms around herself. Doesn't the wind know summer's not over yet? That's all Lizzie said before abruptly turning on her heel and heading back to the directions your mothers had gone. Where are you going? I'm going to my room. I have lots to play in if I want to make the most of tomorrow. He thought this over, looking off towards the water again. Lizzie didn't wait, and before long she disappeared down the road. Meanwhile, Cove was going in the opposite direction, heading for the beach. You followed Lizzie or you stayed with Cove? We're staying with Cove. Cove gave you a smile that you couldn't help but return. Cool. He made a little gesture that made you interpret as follow me, and then started heading towards the waves. Cove knelt down, picking up something you quickly identified as a smooth rock. He reared his arm back and then tossed it into the water. You were impressed at how far he got it to go. It sailed off into the sea. It was a good toss. That was pretty neat. It wasn't a long throw, but he didn't care to try for that, or the rock kind of sunk like a rock and fell back almost right after he tossed it. You can't skip rocks in the ocean. What are you doing? Or you looked for your own rock. What are you doing? Nothing really. You tilted your head, wondering over the sudden pin of look on his face. Just thinking. About what? Cove was looking down at his cast, scratching idly at the pink surface, even though you were pretty sure he couldn't feel it. His brows were furrowed, and there was a frown on his face. It's not fair. I had to wear this cast for ages. I can't even swim. When did you get it off, or how'd you get it? I'll ask him when he gets it off. Cove shrugged and didn't say anything. For a second, you thought maybe he didn't know, but finally he sighed. A few weeks. That's not very long at all, or that is a while away, or you didn't think a few weeks was that bad. We'll say that's not long at all. It'll be off before you know it. You offered to smile, but Cove wasn't looking at you. Cove let out a huff, plopping down into the sand. I can't believe summer's almost over. You sat down next to him and nodded in agreement, regardless of the sudden topic change. I don't want to go to school. I mean, I would. I don't want to go to a new school. I think it'll be the same school as you and Lizzie. My dad said something about that. Cool. You're going to like it. Everyone's super nice. I've only been to one school, but you were sure his old one couldn't have been that much better. Then again, he did have to make new friends and meet new teachers that could be kind of scary. Cove shook his head, then wrapped his good arm around his knees as he drew them close to his chest. You heard a sniffling sound, and when you took a good look at his face, you realized his eyes were wet. You never had to move before, but you thought you could understand. If you had to go to a new school all of a sudden with all new people, you'd probably be dreading it too. Even though you sort of maybe understood, you still weren't sure how to help. Okay, I'll see you later. Wrong. Cove gave his head a small shake. No, I want to go back home. Right, Cove wanted to go back to his old home. The one that sat waiting someplace far away from here. The one he would bring up whenever he felt this sad. It'd been a while since he had moved in, but he still didn't seem to feel any better about being here. You settled back down into the sand, trying to consider what to do. Do you hate it here? This can be your home, or it'll be alright. Do you hate it here? Cove's brow furrowed even more. Then he shook his head. You felt a rush of relief fill you. You liked having Cove here. It'd be sad if he'd been miserable the whole time. You're not going to leave, right? You'll still be around. The question was a little surprising. He's worried about us leaving since he cares about us. Of course. Your parents would have mentioned if you were going to move or something, right? After a second, Cove gave a little nod. Once I get my cast off, we could go swimming. You were fine with him changing the subject again. Yeah, that would be fun. Cove smiled and then looked back at the waves. My dad keeps saying I'll get used to everything eventually, that I'd feel better then. It used to make me angry. I didn't want to get used to everything. You spared a glance over at Cove and see the anger that had slipped off his face in favor of something almost puzzled. But maybe that would be okay after all, as long as I really do feel better. I can't see it. You could remember a long time ago when you first started going to school. You had absolutely not been okay with the idea of being away from your parents for most of the day, to listen to strangers tell you what to do and sit with kids you never met before. Things changing is hard. It is, but change is inevitable. You just have to be able to adapt to the changes. You held his hand. I can, or I'll make sure you do. We'll hold his hand. Not quite sure what to say, so instead you reached out and took hold of Cove's hand. The one closest to you is the one in his cast, so you made sure you were very gentle. As you watched, Cove's eyes got a little misty once more. Got a feeling that they were different tears from the ones from before them. Happy tears. I hope next summer I'll surf and explore and everything will feel like it's supposed to again. You will. It will. The two of you sat quietly, just taking in the sounds of the ocean. You hoped that Cove would be able to accept this new place as his new home. You definitely tried to help, in what ways you could. There were so many wonderful things here Cove probably hadn't even seen yet. Lost in thought, you startled a bit when you heard a faint, familiar sound. The sound of your mom shouting her name. You looked over your shoulder, realizing it was probably time for dinner. Time had really gone by fast. You stood and dusted the sand off yourself. My mom's calling. It's time for dinner. You should come. Cove looked up at you, expression screaming reluctance, yet ultimately, okay. And you smiled. Cove returned it with one of his own. Jamie, thanks. It was nice where you were right then. With the two, you couldn't stay there in your own little world any longer. You were being called forward. So the both of you ran off towards your house, leaving the Wades and Summer behind. In between. Alright. So, we can adjust our character now, if we want to. Change page. What's acting look like? Just curious. Nah. We can change how our lips look. That's funny. They look the same to me. Alright, let's see. Anything else? You can wear a watch now. Alright, I think we're good for this. Okay, comfort level. Okay, this is different. They changed how it looked. Nice. Alright, so relaxed or direct. And fond or crush. Okay. We're gonna have crush now. Relaxed crush or direct crush? Oh, okay, cool. And what's direct look like? That's cute. I guess we'll do relaxed crush, and then on step 3 we'll probably do direct love. Alright, ready. Yeah. Customize code. Choose to customize codes by yourself or let his prior experiences determine it. We're going to do neither. I want to see how he turns out based on the choices we made. It's not pretty. August ended and September began. It was time to go back to school. Lizzie groaned to complain the entire first week. She hated going to classes. Still, they were interesting things to do that couldn't be done elsewhere. You weren't sure how Cove felt about it. He was enrolled that year. That was like a sign Cove would be staying in Sunset Bird for a while. At school, he was alright, but kept his distance from other kids. From what you saw, anyways. Whenever he could, Cove stuck to you like glue. Alright, youthful affection. That's cute. He didn't even mind that much when you did... Wait a minute. He didn't even mind that much what you did to pass the time as long as you were together. Sometimes it was like some things were exactly the same as when you first met. But other times, as you got older, you couldn't ignore how the feelings had changed in the meantime in meaningful ways as well. That year, the divorce of Cove's parents was finalized. You overheard your parents talking about it, saying Cove's dad got full custody. Well, yeah, his mom never showed up. She didn't want him at all. She kicked him out. She didn't even come and see him or anything. His mom didn't care. At first, she worried that meant bad news. It made Mr. Holden cry, apparently. Yeah, because his wife just gave up on him. Then you found out it meant Cove would be living with his dad. He would only stay with his mom a few weeks a year. Yeah, when it was convenient for her. Cove cried too, for different reasons, you thought. It seemed like Cove and his dad might move again, but Mr. Holden decided to stay after all. Mom asked him about it once. He said he didn't want to uproot Cove's life a second time. Mr. Holden tried to get Cove to like Sunset Bird more. He kept encouraging his son to go out and see the place. Sometimes Mr. Holden volunteered you to spend time with Cove. He seemed very confident that it was an effective strategy. Cove never talked to anyone about what happened with his parents and withdrew whenever it was brought up. It was hard for him, yet nobody knew how to help. Eventually, Cove stopped crying on his own. You could understand what had changed. But you hoped that you could help him feel better still, since even without the tears, he looked sad. Maybe one day he could say out loud what he felt inside. After that, it felt like things had gone back to normal, except what was normal didn't stay the same. Years passed and suddenly you were in middle school. You weren't a kid anymore. You were 13 years old. Okay, now we're 13. I thought it was like, I was guessing 10, but we're 13. That officially made you a teenager, even though your sister didn't agree. The toys and crayons that used to litter every free space in your room had been packed away somewhere, replaced by new hobbies. There were other changes too. Cove's cast got taken off. It was weird to see him without it initially. Underneath the pink plaster ended up being a long, thin scar that snaked across his forearm. Cove's cheeks flushed with shy pride when someone drew attention to it. He also went through a major growth spurt. He was the tallest student in his class for 2 years in a row. Cove would probably hold that spot again next time. In class, people knew him for more than just being tall. He also stood out because of how well he did in gym and other athletic situations. So, Cove got real athletic. That's interesting. Over the years, he became more quiet and reserved. You didn't usually see him talking to other people. And the only kid that came to visit the neighborhood when you were little Shiloh, well, he was gone. He and his mom moved back south because of her work, just 1 year after Cove came to Sunset Bird. Shiloh, no. I like Shiloh. I wonder if he'll ever show up again. It had been really upsetting when he left. Lizzie was inconsolable for weeks, but nobody talked about Shiloh anymore. It was a long time ago. You learned some heartbreaking things became less sad the further away they were, even if they had never gotten any better. That was sad in his own way. Very true. Things at home were different too. You lived in the same house and all that, but it wasn't how it was before. Ma dyed her hair purple, wanting something new, and liked it so much she kept dyeing it. You remember calling her mommy as a kid, but somehow that seemed awkward nowadays. You were too old for that word. Okay, so mommy, or Naomi, or yeah, I think it's what her name is now Ma, and she has purple hair. Interesting. Lizzie felt too mature for her nickname too. She insisted on everyone calling her Elizabeth, so you did. Your mom soon gave her permission to go places other than the playground and shopping street, which you took advantage of. You rarely saw her around the old neighborhood. In fact, she hardly spent time with you the way she did before. Elizabeth instead associated more and more with girls from the school who were her own age. Yep. Maybe the difference in 13 and 15 was greater than the difference between 8 and 10. You started befriending new people yourself, like Derek Suarez. He didn't live in the neighborhood or go to the same school. What happened was his and Cove's dad struck up a business partnership a few months ago. Since then, Derek would pop up in the area now and then. It seemed like Mr. Suarez was happy to let Derek tag along to his work, if Derek had the time for it. We got us a new friend. Without a doubt, everyone and everything around you had changed, in small and big ways. You had too. As time went by, though, it was easy to settle into this new normal. Then, before you knew it, school was over and summer vacation had come again. Hey, look at our bedroom. We've got like a sea... got some kind of like underwater picture. Excuse me. We got ourselves a laptop and a computer chair. We got some books. We got like a spacey kind of bed kind of deal. I like it. It was the first day of summer vacation. The sun was hot as ever, but you were inside and away from the harsh rays. To be more specific, you were snuggled up in bed, celebrating your time off by sleeping in, or wide awake, about to head off to enjoy time to yourself. We're gonna sleep in. It was hot, but you still had your blanket up over your head to block out the sun. You didn't want to bring it in, intruding your lazy morning. Unfortunately, you hadn't prepared for an intrusion. From beneath the blanket, you heard the door creak open. Okay, we're actually going to stop here because I want to start all this on a new episode. I just wanted to have a little sneak peek of what happens once we enter Step 2. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. Subscribe to the channel so that when videos come out. And I'll see you next time when we go further into Step 2 and see what happens. But until then, peace out, everyone.